in lieu of the jumping piece, I'm going to kind of switch things up a little bit, and we're going to dive into the actions of quantum jumping. So I think that one thing that has been, so I'm going to insert this segment. I feel that, you know, we want to jump to the magic, and, you know, it's important that the foundation is laid for that, because this magic piece is like surgery, right? It's literally like pulling out the scalpel to cut out a tumor, right? So for us to use that tool wisely, we have to really lay down that foundation and understanding of where we're going, why we're going, the exact moment we're going to, so that when we go in, it's like, you know, like surgery. Yeah. So let me share my screen here. It's really important for us to understand energetically the steps that are actually happening when a person is creating what we're calling PTSD, right? And it's also super important to understand, right, what is encompassed within that loop, right? Because when we realize that, you know, there's so much that can be done within that time frame, right? Without a lot of pain and suffering. Dissociation is the first step. Now, when this showed up for me, I had a psychiatrist wave his arm at me and say, "You're not in there." And, you know, in my way, I was like, "Hey, what do you mean I'm not in here? If I'm not in here, where am I?" Right? And he's like, "I don't know, but what I am saying is I don't know how to help you any further." Right? And that kind of sent me around the world and back, trying to understand, well, if I'm not in here waving at my body, where am I? And what is it that's not in here? Right? That is a very fundamental piece for PTSD. I'm going to pass this up. But Dr. Strange, if you ever want to watch that clip, is amazing. I've gotten in trouble for using it, so I need to pull this slide out. But there in the Dr. Strange movie, right, the guru actually grabs his shirt and hits him like that and knocks his astral body out, right? And he can witness his body from above, right? Most of our people say that they can witness themselves sitting in a room. They can witness themselves like operating, right? And we often recognize that when a person, a grown-up, is like, say, in a car accident, they can witness a car accident from above, or like in a coma, right? So we have to like step back and go, okay, well, what if you're 3? What if you're 3 and you're catapulted out of your body, right? And don't know how to get back in. You don't even know the difference because you've just kind of always been out. And we're going to recognize that in a lot of people as we move forward, right? So dissociation is the separation of one thing from another. What is separating? Our astral body, the energetic version of our physical body, is separating, right, from our physical body, creating an out-of-body experience. An out-of-body experience, right, is the same as we said, like if a person decides they're going to go to the records, if they're astral traveling, if they're quantum jumping, if they almost die, if they, right? So we have to understand that that action is exactly the same action, astral body exits the physical body. Now, the difference in the levels of those experiences is how much we take out. Did we leave enough life force for our body to keep operating down there, right? Or did that body pass out, right? Was that body almost dead before we come back, right? Now, the astral body is the energetic version of your physical body. It's the same thing, like if somebody is seeing spirits or a hologram, right? That is our astral body, right? Now, there is, let me go back for a second. There's an experiment that I love. It was done in the 1920s or something by a guy named McDougall. And McDougall started becoming interested in the difference in the body weight of a human before they died and after they died, right? So he started weighing out like all the fluids and everything that a person loses when they die, and realizing that there was a discrepancy, right? There was a discrepancy between the body fluids and the body weight from before and after, right? So he started saying, in their terms, that's the soul, right? And he claimed the soul weighed 21 grams. Now the thing is that experiment, right, was refuted because the 21 grams was not the same for each person. Why is that, right? The fragmentation, yeah? So the quantum action one is they're getting out, right? So we know we want to run. We know we want to hide. And this child is in such extreme place that the only way they can run is out of their body. Yeah, pretty brilliant. Yeah. So, the problem is that's our life force. So if we start fragmenting this astral body, we are actually losing molecules of our astral body in present day time. Yeah, makes sense? Now, often, like right, he was like, that's the soul. The astral body is the energetic version of our physical body, and the soul's like our heart, right? So the astral body is the home of the soul, which is like our energetic version of our heart. Yeah? Now, near death, astral travel, quantum jumping, time travel, dissociation, again, are all out-of-body experiences. So when a person is trying to understand what they're doing and how they're doing it, right, we have to distinguish, okay, well, if they're finding themselves in different times, like they're dissociated, right? Almost when a person comes in and sits before you, you can tell whether they're dissociated or not because their eyes are very flat, right? They're very flat, and they actually have very little dimension almost, right? Compared to a person whose life force is inside. So again, right, in all of this, astral body is separating from the physical body. And dissociation is a spontaneous, unconscious, fear-induced out-of-body experience. Yeah? So signs that a person is dissociated, their words are very key. They usually will say straight up, I feel empty, alone, confused and overwhelmed, depressed and anxious. Number one, tired. They're so tired because there's very little gas in their car, right? Often they feel like nothing around them feels real, right? So we have to recognize that it's like nothing has priorities, right? Nothing has priorities. It's like, doing their taxes is in the same as going to the bathroom or washing their hair. Like there's just no like level of priority. Now this was a big one for me, where you feel like you're watching yourself in a movie, right? I lived most of my life like that, where I was just watching myself live. And within that, right, most often, because you're over there trying to do this, everything's staccato, you don't feel like you have the right script or the right play. Yeah. Now, this is a piece that we don't think about often, but right, any home, any building, anything that is left unattended, right, deteriorates very quickly. And they're also vulnerable to vagrants. Yeah. So when we're not in our body, something else can get in, right? And that's real and true. So, rectifying this action and teaching people to take it off of autoresponder and take ownership of it, right, is the foundational step for everything. Now, a lot of my clients feel like, oh, I did that, right? It's an exercise, and I like to use these exercises like physical therapy. So that means, right, that we exercise these over and over and over again, right? In the beginning, almost every time you meet somebody, you're making sure before they leave, they're in their body and they're very aware of what they feel like right here and right now, right? Those things as we start with somebody are crucial first steps, right? Because often if a person is in crisis, getting them in their body is going to create a settledness that gives you some space to move forward, right? The vernacular is also super important in these very first sessions because, giving people actual words to describe their experiences, takes it kind of out of the crazy column. If we can look and go, yeah, that's what I was doing, right? That makes sense. And that's empowering rather than, a problem. So one of the first things, right, we do, because when a person is dissociated, their feet are going to be numb, their hands are going to be numb, they're going to be hot, very cold hands, very cold feet. They're probably clumsy, they're running into things, they're dropping things, right? So, and the longer they've been dissociated, the more their body is in struggle. So we have to recognize that, yeah. So this exercise for realigning the astral body with the physical body, number one, first day, every time, right? And probably depending on their level of dissociation, right, we make sure every time we meet them, can you find the pulse in your toes, right? Can you feel the palms of your hands? Are your hands hot or cold, right? So I kind of want to walk you guys through this. Yeah.
So we did get into the body, and at first he couldn't feel his foot, one foot. So I said to wiggle it. He felt the tingles and the pulse. And then the right foot, he just could feel the tingles. He
And
couldn't
that's
feel the
cool.
pulse.
So you measure that and you go, great job. Now this is where we start. If you go to physical therapy, you're not gonna, and you broke your arm, maybe you're not gonna be able to do this all the way today. But this is something we're measuring, right? Measuring is the way people are able to distinguish progress, right? So then you go, the next time you bring him home, if he can find the pulse in his right foot, you go, congratulations, last time you only had tingling. Yay, right? And those little wins are super important. Or last time, right? Your hands and feet were ice cold. How are they feeling today? Right? You know, and those little pieces are huge, right? So we start out with them, you know, close your eyes. Can you see yourself sitting in the room? Right? Because if you can see yourself sitting in the room, you're probably not in your body. Otherwise, you'd be looking at the backs of your eyelids. Yeah? Right? I like for them in that point to recognize where their attention is. So say a person says, you know, especially right at the beginning, because it gives you a lot of information. Yeah. If you're going, okay, right. Can you see yourself in the room? Yeah. Can you see your face? Yeah. So are you looking at yourself head on? Yeah. All right. They're spending all their time out in the future. Right? Their gaze is way out there, right? Or are they behind? Are they off to the side? We want to kind of gain that perspective for ourselves, and we're logging that away, right? Now, we're going to guide them down into the corpus callosum. The corpus callosum is the bridge, the passageway between left and right brain, right? Now, many of these folks will say, oh, like, I'm a creator, and they're operating over here. Now, often those folks like have amazing ideas and then no action comes because that pathway between left and right brain has been atrophied. So this is exercise when they come into that corpus callosum. Now, science is saying now that our corpus callosum is the control room of all of our systems. All of our systems throughout all 5 systems. So it's like coming in and turning on the light switches, right? And recognizing, right, how much we actually have control of. Now, the corpus callosum as well, after studying, you know, meditation with Chopra for years, I began to realize that when you come into your corpus callosum, you are accessing the gap. The gap that they're talking about is that gap between left and right brain, right? Because in that space, you can have no thought, right? And then there's opportunity for a new thought, right? Now, especially in the beginning, I like to rock them back, take them into that left brain, feel that left brain fill out, feel really full. Now we're going to come back to center in the corpus callosum, right? And we're going to rock over to our right brain, and we're going to let that side of our head fill up, and we're going to come back to center, right? Then you're starting to clear out a pathway between the two, so that they can have constructive discerning thought. It's like if you had broken your arm and it was in a cast, yeah, and your arm was all atrophied, same thing. This pathway is atrophied. So I like to use like the bubble in a level because it creates a picture, right? And we're going to make both sides of your head feel equal. right? Now, I'm going to add this in here, right? Because you will be connecting the wisdom circuit and walking them in all at the same time, right? The energy, a lot of times they have front lobal head pain. It's information that is not being processed, right? So their processing system is so slow that they're taking in all this information and it's just hanging out right in the front of their head, right? Now, this upper wisdom circuit looks like this with an eye right here, right? You know that symbol, right? So all that information is converging and coming into the corpus callosum and being distributed to left and right brain. So we're going to call them to draw that congestion back. Instant headache gone, right? Then we're going to drop down. We're going to fill up that chest cavity, right? And what I like to say to them sometimes, especially in the beginning, is, you know, just like if you were filling up a water balloon, you're going to feel that weight come in, you know. Now, often the heart will feel vacant because it's not turned on. So we're going to witness that circuit dropping down from your corpus callosum and activating all those brain cells in your heart muscle, right? Watch them ignite. Feel that expansion, right? Then we're going to drop down. We're going to fill up our arms all the way down to the tips of our fingers. You know, sometimes if I'm really trying to get them connect, I'll have them feel the energy between the palms of their hands. Right? That's you. That's who you are. Yeah.
What do you mean, like this?
Yeah, that's your chakras. Yeah. Play with it. Grow that. Right.
It kind of feels magnetic.
Yeah. That's you. That's your life force, and it is magnetic, right? So again, when we're talking about this astral body, those fragments, those molecules are like magnets. They're always yanking them back, right? So it's cool that you notice that, yeah? Because it is like magnets, right? Now we're going to invite them to drop down from their chest cavity and fill up their torso, all the way down to their sits bones. We want your butt to feel it. Now you're going to feel kind of an emptiness in the front of that chest of your torso. Yeah, where your gut lies. So we're going to witness that circuit dropping down from that heart muscle, activating all the brain cells in your gut. You can feel the front of your torso filling out with your life force. Yeah. Then we're going to fill up the thighs, right? The calves, the feet, each toe, right? We're going to find the pulse in the big toe of their right foot, big toe of their left foot, right? That is the realignment, right? And at that point, I'm always like, welcome home. What feels different, right? Point them to that. What feels different right now, right? Right? So most often I feel fuller. They're going to feel less anxious, less overwhelmed. So often they're going to say, I feel calmer. I feel more peace, right? Because you're going to have a lot of anxiety in that separation. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said that he felt as much as he feels contracted and then also releasing at the same time.
When he's in his body or not?
Yeah, after we did the welcome home exercise.
So the contracted, I would explain to him that yes, you're used to not having any form. And it's essential for you to learn to be in your body, right? It is essential for your life force to operate your body, right? So that confining feeling, I recognize that. Tell him, you know, you're going to get used to it. Your body's going to get energized, blah, blah, blah. Right? So this practice has to be cultured and nurtured and measured by you every step of the way, right? Because nothing is going to change if they continue to autopilot dissociate. Yeah?